the Gators SEC tournament path. The Gators finished the weekend off, get a huge 19-point win over Ole Miss, an Ole Miss team that just came off a 2-point win, but near buzzer beater win against Tennessee. I mean, this is a good Ole Miss team, and we just beat them by 19. Like, we casually beat them. Like, it looks like we were kind of out there. We were taking some bad shots in the first half, maybe locked it down a little bit more in the second half. But it kind of looked like the guys just went out there to have fun in their senior night, especially the three guards of Richard, Clayton, and Martin. Seeing them playing their last game in Gainesville, the Aztec Arena, it felt special. We saw all three of them get 10-plus points in that game. They all had their moment. I mean, Clayton went for 23 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. He didn't even score in the final 10 minutes of the game. I think he hit a 3 with like 12 minutes left and didn't score the rest of the game, which is a lot of what Clayton has done throughout the season in these games where we're up a copious amount, where he just kind of puts the game to rest, and then he's just like, yeah, I'll let everyone else do their thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I think, beating an Ole Miss team that had some momentum, really impressive. I mean, Florida's been so good at home this year. Like, aside from that Missouri loss, Florida has just been a machine at home. I mean, none of these games have even been like, certainly in SEC play, have even been like particularly competitive in Gainesville. So hopefully that magic follows them to neutral sites when they get to the tournament. But I mean, really nice. Like, to me, it said a lot because you get you have the A&M win, you have the win against Alabama on the road, which, you won that game pretty thoroughly, but it was still just, a tough game. You really had to kind of ride that one out with them hitting some shots to make it close at the end. And then to come back and like, you basically have secured a number 1 seed, assuming you just don't lose at home in this last game. Like, that is like setting up for a trap pretty easily. And they just didn't fall into it. I mean, like you said, a little bit of a slow start, kind of struggled to pull away in the first half, but not really a competitive game for the vast majority of the second half.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a quick stat here, and I think oh, okay. So outside the Missouri game, Florida only has one home game where they won by less than 15 points.
I was gonna ask if any of the home wins have been by single digits. I didn't think so.
No, and actually, I say that. I mean, outside of that Missouri game, we only had one game where we didn't win by more than 18 points, and it's when we beat Vanderbilt by 11. I mean, that was the first game we were playing without Walter Clayton.
And the Missouri game even was like a 19-point comeback or something ridiculous?
Yeah, Missouri got up by 19 and we lost by 1.
Okay, yeah.
You know what actually does stink, though? Kind of sucks. Florida, I mean, maybe it wouldn't have happened the same way. A 1-point loss to Missouri or getting in a 26-point deficit to Georgia is really, I mean, or Kentucky having a historic night shooting the ball at home is really the difference between us winning the SEC, being the number 1 seed, because we would have had the tiebreaker over Auburn. Now, maybe Auburn plays differently in the final 2 games. I would bet if they were fully trying, they would have beat A&M.
At least one of those two. They would. I don't think they lose both of those games if they hadn't already locked it up, probably. At least that's what I'm telling myself to hope.
Yeah. I do think Bama outplayed Auburn. I think Auburn was trying to win that game against Bama.
Sure.
That's a given. I mean, it was a rivalry game.
Yeah.
The A&M one, I give you the pass. But the rivalry game against Bama, where you have your best player go for 34 points, Janai Broom, I think, went for 34. They definitely did really try to win that game. And then you have
they still could have easily won that game. I mean, it took a buzzer beater in overtime. So yeah,
exactly. We have had a chance to be every team we played this year. Even if you count the games we lost, I mean, Tennessee game we lost by 20. We beat Tennessee by 30 earlier in the year. So when you just word it like every team, we did beat them. So
and that's the only game. That's the only game too that like Florida didn't have a chance. Like all the other losses outside. I mean, that one, that was just never going to happen on that night. But like, like nothing else was even close to being that level of like out of hand.
Absolutely. So now we look at the SEC tournament bracket. Florida is the 2 seed. We'll either face Missouri, LSU, or Mississippi State. Mississippi State to 10, LSU to 15, Missouri to 7. I think this bracket match goes kind of beautifully for the Gators because two of our 4 losses were to Tennessee, Georgia, teams that we also beat once earlier in the year. You look at those next games, Missouri, one of the teams that beat us that we haven't got a revenge against. If Missouri ends up beating the winner of LSU, Mississippi State, I'd bet Mississippi State. Not a guarantee, though.
Yeah, should
I'm hoping it's Missouri, though, that ends up winning that 3 teams right there. Get a revenge against Missouri because this is a Missouri team that's been ice cold as of late.
Yeah.
Now, if they get a win over a Mississippi State or LSU, it could start getting them back on track. But it's also like we're playing like maybe the best team in the country right now. And even if Missouri is playing at their peak of like a top 12 team, that is a team that Florida should still beat in a neutral site setting.
Yeah, I think I would say this too about if you end up playing Missouri in that opening game.
Oh.
I mean, I don't think what's up,
Rob. Exactly what I was just saying with how I like our bracket because he was saying when we've had a chance to beat every team, Missouri's in our bracket and Kentucky is the 6th seed. They'll play 3 seed Bama if they end up winning their matchup between. Who do they play? I can't remember who Kentucky would play.
Bama,
Georgia. Kentucky plays the winner of Georgia and Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Georgia's hot, but still, I hope we do end up playing Missouri and Kentucky and getting our revenge.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's nice about being able to get, I mean, if drawing either of those teams being able to get revenge is like I really don't think there's anything Florida could do at this point to not be a number 1 seed in the tournament. I think they should be fine. In the event that, say, Michigan State goes on a crazy run and wins the Big Ten tournament and will then have like 12 straight quad 1 wins or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
If in the event something like that happens, would it be nice that Florida can say, hey, we have now avenged 2 of our 4 losses or whatever? Yeah, I think that would be pretty nice to be able to say if it really came down to it, but I don't think it will, to be honest.
So I saw the stat that Duke, Houston, and Auburn are all 3 in the top 10 of all-time net ratings. I mean, this goes back to 1997 when not net ratings, sorry, KenPom ratings.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this goes back to 1997 when KenPom did ratings. I mean, you have 3 teams in a 1997, so 28
18 years or 8 or 20. Yeah, sorry, 28.
28-year period. You have 3 of the top 10 teams in the same season, and Florida, I think, is also in the top 15. I mean, This is just such an unlucky year for us to be a powerhouse. Like any other year, we would be at least number 2, probably number 1.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's just really strong year. I mean, I will say, like, little suspect. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I know like Auburn. It's like, I mean, I understand like what I was just saying about, they've already locked up the SEC. They've already locked up the number 1 overall seed. So they literally are not really playing for anything right now. But I still don't love entering the tournament like without momentum. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like that doesn't bode very well, especially considering like Auburn and Bruce Pearl have kind of had an issue with getting got earlier than they should in the tournament.
Yeah. I think what I was thinking when you were about to say some teams entering without momentum, I think you have teams, Auburn, they're lost the last 2 games. Mm-hmm. We did beat them at Auburn when they were playing at their best, so we know we can beat them. But then you also look at Duke and Houston. Houston's low-key been struggling a little bit. Like they went 19-1, I think, in the Big 12, which is phenomenal. I mean, that's as good as you can ask for. But I'm not really as sold on this Houston team. Houston basketball, when you look it up here, they go to Baylor and win by 4 points. I mean, Baylor's a team that might be playing in Dayton. This is not a Baylor team that's locked into the term. I mean, they should be in like 90+% chance they're in, but they're not a team that's going to be a high seed. They're going to be a 10, maybe an 11 seed in the NCAA tournament. And going to there, only winning by 4, then you host a Kansas team that's just been awful over the past month. And, I mean, they won by 6, so not even a close amount. But that was a game that had been back and forth in the second half. I mean, they beat Cincinnati by 9. They play a good Texas Tech team and win that game by 8. But I do think over this past couple weeks and maybe the Big 12 tournament we'll see it as well. I don't know if this Houston team is as good as metrics say they are.
I'm not necessarily convinced either, just because I'm not sure I love the Big 12 this year, just in general. I think the Big 12 is just not that great, like relative to where it's been. I mean, I think they're locked into I think they're pretty much locked into being a higher seed, like higher in the 1 seed list than Florida is, though, just from the way they're viewed.
I think the only way Houston isn't a 1 seed is if they lose. Then you probably need Michigan. They lose in round 1 or round 3 of the Big 12, whatever the bye structure works there. They lose their first game in the Big 12 tournament, and then you have Alabama and Florida. I mean, if we do end up playing each other, the winner is probably going to be a 1 seed over Houston. The loser might not be. We'll see. I mean, we don't really know. And then maybe like Michigan State does what you talked about and just isn't on that 12, 13 game win streak, including winning the Big 10. So that's definitely a possibility. But yeah, I doubt Houston isn't a 1 seed at this point.
Yeah. And I think and maybe I'm being too overreactive to how they handled Florida seeding last year because it bothered me at the time. But I just don't think they care about these tournaments. Like, I don't think these tournaments really factor into how they set up their bracket and their seeding. Like, I feel like, barring bid stealers, they pretty much have this thing ready to go going into championships, like going into like the last couple of days of the tournament. You know what I mean?
I hope so, because I would love to just have that 1 seed locked in, not even need to win. But I don't know. It just feels like the SEC is so good this year that they're just going to be watching it so intently. And I mean, if you have Alabama and Florida playing each other and it's that close, like Florida's ahead, but Alabama isn't that far behind and Alabama does win, I mean, we could lose that 1 seed. I wouldn't be shocked.
I guess I wouldn't be shocked either. But again, it's just like after watching Florida do the reverse of that,
Absolutely.
Go on that run last year and have it literally not improve the projected seeding at all, not even by like a single line. I'm just like, I'm not sure they care about these. I mean, I will see. I mean, we'll find out. I could be wrong, and maybe that was just how they treated it last year.
Ultra Gator here saying an SEC team definitely wins the Natty this year. We definitely have, of any conference, we have the best shot easily.
Well, statistically, yeah. I mean, we're going to have 13 teams in the tournament.
Yeah, but I mean, I also look at the title favorites. Like the title favorites right now, Houston and Duke. I mean, Auburn and Duke are probably 1A and 1B at this point. Although you can question Duke because they played an easier schedule, but they have just been dominant. So I'm not going to say Duke's overrated until they prove to be overrated at this point.
And we know they have the star power too. Like we know they have the star power and the talent on the roster. Like that's not a question.
Actually, let me just make this simple. 4 of the top 6 teams right now in most bracketologies are SEC teams. That an SEC team should win the Natty this year. We should at least get multiple teams in the Final Four. I mean, anything can happen in March. So, I mean, Auburn lost to a 13-seeded Yale last year. So it's like anything can happen.
Yeah.
And again, what George is saying here, 13 teams in the tourney. Hopefully it's Auburn or Florida. I like Auburn too because I live there. Oh, I mean, that's cool. I'm going to hope Florida.
My mom went to Auburn, George. So my mom went to Auburn. So I grew up not having the animosity toward them that I have towards like pretty much every other SEC fan base.
And what Rob is saying, conference tournaments doesn't mean anything for seeding 1-3. I hope so, but this is the year they're going to change everything, of course.
Well, maybe we'll just find out if it all really is a grand conspiracy against the Florida Gators. Maybe they just change their philosophy each year to see what can do the maximum negative impact for Florida.
Yeah. All right. Let's make a quick SEC tournament pick, I guess. Okay. So, who do you have Florida playing? Do you have Missouri, Mississippi State, or LSU?
I'm kind of inclined to say Mississippi State. I feel like Missouri is kind of slumping coming into this tournament. And I like Mississippi State. I mean, they've had some bad ones too. I mean, they lost to Texas, which was pretty bad, which was pretty rough.
I'm kind of inclined by us.
I will say I don't really think it matters because I do think Florida wins this first game no matter who it's playing.
Yeah. I'm going to say Missouri wins, but that's just because I want the rematch victory over Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, give me the Gators to advance to the semifinals.
Yep.
Oh my God.
That's
We only
the,
played
that's the
3
joy of the
games.
double bye, man. We haven't had it in 8 years.
Oh man, this feels nice. All right. Who do you have Florida of? Alabama, Kentucky, Georgia, or Oklahoma?
Um,
Who do you have us facing?
it's
I'm
hard
going.
to.
I'll go first.
You can go. Yeah,
Give me
go
a little
ahead.
time to think about it. Georgia's really hot right now. You know who's also like
Okay.
a low key kind of sizzling right now? Kentucky.
Yeah,
And they just had a really
that's a good
dominant
pick too.
performance against Missouri this past weekend. I'm gonna take Kentucky to beat Bama. I think it's gonna be a shootout of a game. Otega-Oweh's playing really good. So give me Kentucky to advance to face us, and give me the Gators in the rematch, baby.
Okay. I hate to pick chalk here, but I didn't pick chalk for the first one. So like
That's fair.
I walked away from that Alabama game really impressed with Alabama
That's
personally.
fair.
Like I thought they looked really good. And I think even though I do agree, like Georgia and Kentucky playing really good basketball right now, I think any of those hypothetical matchups would be really interesting in the lead up. I will say we get another Florida Alabama game though.
Mm-hmm. I'll say Bama. I mean, obviously Auburn and Florida should have easier paths as higher seeds. I will say Alabama got a pretty unlucky path because you have maybe 2 of the hotter teams in the SEC with Georgia, who's knocked off 4 straight, including us, and Kentucky is starting to get a bit more healthy. They're not going to have Jackson Robinson for at all for the season, so that's a big loss for them. But you have Otega-Oweh, who's played a really good basketball. Honestly, Otega-Oweh might be the most underrated player in the SEC. I think he's really good. And it's like, I don't know if he's going to be a first teamer. But I feel like in most years, Otega-Oweh would be a first team all SEC player.
Yeah.
So
who do you have?
I have us.
You have
over
us?
Kentucky.
Yeah, I'll go with us over Bama too, even though that would very much scare me having to play them again in the SEC tournament. I still think I like look back at that the rebounding differential and like that to me just tells me that that's a bad matchup for them against us. So I do think I'd probably put my money on it playing out like that again.
That's a fair point. So I saw an interesting stat out there. When you look at our side of the region, our 4 teams of us, Missouri, Kentucky, and Alabama, you have 4 of the top 15 offenses in college basketball. But then you look at the other side where you have Ole Miss, Auburn, Tennessee, and Texas A&M. I think it was like 4 of the top 15 defenses in college basketball. So I've seen 2 different takes on this. I've seen take A, Auburn or Tennessee and Texas A&M especially, they're going to be playing extremely physical matchups, defensive battles that are going to wear you down. And then whichever one of those 2 likely could be Vanderbilt, they could sneak up in there. Play Auburn. They're going to try to wear Auburn down as well. Auburn also going to maybe play Arkansas. I think Arkansas beats Ole Miss. And I think Arkansas has been a really good defensive team as well. I think that could also slow down Auburn, make them a little, whoever it is going into the championship game, more tired. I've also seen the take that you have this bottom region, the 2 seed region, where you're going to have these teams that are playing high-flying games. They're going to go so fast that they tire each other out like that. So it's 2 different takes of exhausting the other teams out, which team is going to have the tougher games. I tend to lean with the defensive games being a bit more tougher, especially when you look at Tennessee and Texas A&M. They play such a physical brand of basketball. I think our guards can go forever. I've seen Walter Clayton play 40 minutes and have 20-point games. I can see Will Richard having those games and Elijah Martin. I believe that, and we have the depth to back it up as well, that we're going to be less wore out going into that championship game than whoever we face in that championship game, which I will say is Auburn. And I'm going to say we beat them earlier in the year. It's hard to beat a team twice. Look at 2 of our losses were the teams we played once in the year earlier. I think that's something I didn't even think about until just now. But still, I also think you have Micah Hanglotten, where this is a rematch of last year. This is a game where Micah suffered that brutal injury. I think he's going to have a really good game and kind of try to lead the locker room. If he won't be down at all going into an SEC championship game, they're going to be fired up. I think Micah's going to fire them up just a little bit more. I think we win the SEC championship, the SEC tournament championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could easily see that. I agree with you. I think it's going to be Auburn. I think Auburn, I mean, maybe these last 2 games have tell us a different story, but I mean, to me, like Auburn didn't play very well against the Gators. And when they had played well prior to these last 2 games, I think they looked pretty unbeatable.
Well,
I'm not saying Florida didn't
can I
play
say
a
this
role.
real quick?
Yeah.
Even before those two losses, the week prior, they had 2 really close home games against Georgia and Arkansas. I don't think Auburn's looked that good in like a month.
That is true. That is true. That's a good point. And I mean, I think the Micah angle is important. I mean, I think that's, important to remember. I guess because I had also thought about the fact that 2 of our 4 losses are to teams we had already beaten earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about how we had sort of the same exact thing happen last year where we played Auburn, like dominated them in the first game. And then it was just the complete reverse in the second. I don't think it's the complete reverse in the sense that Florida gets dominated. Like, I think this would be an incredible game. Mm-hmm. I probably would like give the slight edge to Auburn in it, though, to be honest with you.
I honestly think that Florida right now is the best team in the country. I think our guards are playing as well or better than any other guard group in the country. I think Alex Condon's been playing like the best. Janai Broom's probably still, Janai Broom just came off 33, 34 points, whatever it was, against Alabama. But you have Condon coming off the 27-10 and then the 17-15 game last night. I mean, we saw it in the first matchup. Condon kind of, he won the matchup of Condon versus Broom. And I can see him winning that again. I think the physicality and rebounding for Florida kind of just beats in this Auburn team that, look at Chad Baker-Mazara and Janai Broom. They're guys that get frustrated pretty easily, especially when they play teams that are so physical. And if the refs allow that physicality, it kind of just beats on them. I think we are just the best team in the country, and I think we match up pretty well against Auburn.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with a lot of that. I just think that, like, I kind of worry about a couple things. Like, first of all, I think that we might be the best team in the country when we're not shooting ourselves in the foot, doing things like having stupid turnovers, taking bad shots. I do just worry that, like, against a team like Auburn, if we just have one of those games where we come out shooting pretty cold and we're just missing open shots, we might get down to a degree that we're just not really able to get out of and might just be fighting to keep it at like a 10-point margin for like, that's kind of the way I could see a loss playing out there.
I can also see that, like, we've seen us get down early against we've got out early against teams. We've got down early against teams. If a team does get down, like, say 15 and 20 points in this first half, they're not going to worry too much because both of us, Auburn will have the number 1 seed already locked up. Mm-hmm. If we win this game, we'll have if we're in the championship, we will have a 1 seed locked up. So if you get down early, you're probably just gonna you can probably sit. We're not gonna try as hard to come back as we would if it were, say, a regular season game or NCAA tournament game. So
I think that's probably what happened last year.
Yeah, that probably is what happened last year. And then they had the back of their mind Micah Handlon of what happened to him. So it could be a good or bad thing that Micah got injured in this game last year when you're looking at the mentality going into this game.
I totally do get that. Like, I think you will not see Florida come out like flat like they did in that game last year.
Well, we didn't even come out flat. I believe the score was like 32-26 with like 8 minutes in the first half. So it was a close game. I was looking at some highlights and saw that. So we kept it close, but then just missing a center really allowed Auburn to just pull away.
And that hurt us that hurt us a lot in the tournament game too. Like, that team without Micah was just not even close to the same.
No. Ultra, if we hit our 3 throws, we'll be in every game that we want to be in. Our bench is so good.
Yeah. I think Florida will be in every game this week in Nashville. I don't think there's going to be like, I don't think Missouri is just going to come out and win by 20 or whatever. Like, I do not see that happening.
Although if Missouri gets an early lead on us, do you think we'll kind of wrap things up and just get prepared for the tournament? Or do you think the fact that they beat us earlier in the year, we want the revenge?
I don't know. That's a good question. Like, I don't know. Because I feel like how seriously you take the tournament in a situation like Florida's in right now is kind of a coach by coach thing. Like, I certainly think there are coaches who are like, we'll take it or leave it as far as conference tournament. If we get out early and we go home and get more rest, so be it. I'm not sure that's Todd, though. It doesn't necessarily seem like Todd to me. Todd's pretty aggressive.
Yeah, he's a very outward personality guy when it comes in games. I mean, we were up 20 points, and he was going off on the refs last night against Ole Miss. Broom still got. I don't think he didn't really get what he wanted inside. I mean, he really didn't. I mean, they can score inside. I think he finished like 15 or 16, but he had like 10 or like 7 or so in the final, like 5 minutes or something.
Okay. Yeah, he was 8 of 19 for 18 points.
And how many of those 18
gave
points
up 22 to Miles Kelly?
And how many of those 18 points were in like the final 10 minutes when Florida was already up by 20?
That I'm not sure if I can tell you.
I can figure it out. Take me a second though.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm just looking at the ESPN stats right now, and they don't have. I mean, I'm looking at the play-by-play. I could like count it up and do the math, but yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely some at the end. I mean, I don't think it's like a matchup that I worry about with Condon, but like, I mean, I do think when we've played teams that are really good up front, we haven't necessarily dominated on the inside the way we do against some other teams.
He scored 9 points after Florida got up by 20 points.
Okay.
In the final 10 minutes of that game. So, I mean, those are relevant points. You've seen teams make those comebacks.
But what was the closest they got it to?
I believe they got to like 8. He missed a bunch of bunnies. That's just physicality by Condon. That's good defense.
It looks like, I mean, the final score was 9, but I don't see them ever getting it closer
maybe
than 9. I think 9 was the closest it ever got. Oh, no, sorry. You're right. They did get it down to 8.
Because I think they got it to 8, and then Thomas Houck hit the offensive rebound back to Aberdeen for a 3. Is that when that happened?
Or actually, wait, no, sorry. I just was counting this wrong. I don't ever see it getting down to 8, but
okay, maybe it was 9. I mean, that's great. Ooh, anything else you want to? So you have Auburn winning the SEC tournament over Florida?
Yeah, I think I will. I mean, like I like, and that's like a very much like slightly more than 50% kind of pick. Like I think Florida has a really good chance to win the SEC. I don't know how competitive we're going to be in these games. And I mean, the same is true for Alabama or for Auburn, you know, to a lesser extent, like Alabama and Tennessee. If we end up playing them, you know, I think I see Florida at least winning its first game. I think beyond that, I kind of get a little bit more, I could kind of see anything happening there.
I think something interesting that I haven't heard many people talk about, the potential Tennessee-Auburn rematch. Auburn only won 51-49.
Yeah.
That was a really close game that Tennessee could have won.
Yeah, that was a good game. At Auburn, too.
That could be a game that wears them down even more. Like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But do you have anything else you want to say on basketball?
No, I mean, not really. It's just, it feels fun to go into this. It's like a weird feeling coming into this tournament with nothing really at stake, because for most of the Mike White era, it was almost like we had to win this tournament to get, or, you know, at least either was like we were on the bubble, or like felt needed to win a game or two to feel good, or like even there was like a couple of years where we just didn't make the tournament at all and, you know, had to make it to feel good. Or the, you know, last year of Mike White, first year of Todd, was only chance of getting in was winning the tournament.
Yep.
It's kind of weird to go into this. And last year, you know, we didn't feel, I mean, we were pretty good about not being on the bubble, but like, you know, we didn't love our seeding. We were hoping we could bump that up, which didn't happen. Which obviously did not happen. But I mean, this is the first time going into a tournament where it's like, I mean, I'd love to see the Gators make a run, but it really doesn't matter. Like, it's weird to be going into the SEC tournament and I'm already just thinking about who Florida's going to play in the round of 32.
Hoping we're a 1 seed. I'm not going to be sad for a 2 seed though.
I mean, I think you could, it's just like, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like the field is so good this year. Like, even if you're a 1 seed, you're drawing like the 2-time defending champions or someone of that caliber in the second round. It's just, there's no easy path. It's, you know, whoever wins the national title this year is going to be very